Hello everybody and welcome into OP Racing's ButtKicker Grand National Series, live tonight with the second race in the round of 16 for the playoffs here at the World Center of Racing. It's Daytona International Speedway. Thank you all so much for tuning in tonight. You are watching Austin Green on PGR eSports. Well, drivers, they just got qualifying complete. They're getting gridded up, and we are getting ready to get this race started. A lot of storylines to go over here tonight, and a lot of great racing awaiting us here at this 2.5-mile super speedway. But before we get any further, let's get right into tonight's starting grid. Taking the pole, it's going to be Anthony English in the 44. Again, that is one of your playoff drivers. He's going to be one of the ones to keep an eye on here tonight as he tries to get himself locked in to the next round. Jeff Crosby Jr., he'll roll on the outside pole. He starts second here tonight. It's Rick Sanchez back in third with Vicente Guerrero in the 14 to his outside in fourth. Sean Stevens and Eric Laurie make up row number 3. And then it's last week's winner, Zach Fritsch, alongside Adam Kilday, who sits in 8th. Dustin Logston back in 9th. And Douglas Johnson rounds out your top 10. How about the Canadian driver in the field, John Guerra, who will roll off 11th here tonight with Andy Brigante. Not in the field last week, but it's good to see him back here tonight. He will start in 12th. Moving on back to row number 7 for the field here tonight, it's going to be Jimmy Reynolds in the 17 alongside Jeff Crosby in the 15. Nathan Warren will start back in the 15th spot. It's Derek Donna in 16th. Kevin Fries in 17th with Logan York back in 18th. Matt Wagner and Shane Ward, that's another playoff driver, round out your top 20. Dave Hunt will roll off 21st. Mark Mann to his outside in 22nd. It's going to be Tucker McClendon back in 23rd with Len McNeese in 24th. Stephen Lane rolls off 25th. It's Sean Dion in 26th. And Rick Seabrands, he'll round out the field here tonight as he will start from 27th. All right, as the field is now rolling as they get in a 2x2 formation, let's take a look at tonight's race info. Again, it's the second race of the playoffs and the second race in the round of 16 here for the OP Racing ButtKicker Grand National Series. It's the Brads Brass Flamingo 175, as that will be the distance in miles here tonight. 70 laps, 45% fuel. All these drivers have unlimited tires, so grip should not be a major issue, knowing that at least you have the chance to take tires. Now, whether you take them under a caution or not, that's going to be up to these drivers depending on what strategies they are playing out. One fast repair in case you need it, which here at a track like Daytona, oftentimes you do. Fixed setups as always, and then there will be a stage break on lap 35 with 2 green-white checkers if we were to need them. How about track length 2.5 miles, over 30 degrees of banking in the corners? Pretty cool track temp. Starting this race off at 67-degree track temp, it appears, with 67-degree weather outside, 20% humidity, cloudy skies, winds at 2 miles an hour. And that cool track temp is going to help out just a little bit with the handling these race cars are going to kind of deal with here pretty much all night, because, again, this is not new Daytona. This is legacy Daytona, and what you're going to notice pretty much on the first green flag lap is just how bumpy and abrasive this surface is. And so for a lot of drivers, they're probably going to spend, I would say, you know, at least this first stage, maybe even a little bit more than that, just trying to get used to the way these cars handle. But at the same time, you got to go for playoff points. Anything you can get, stage points, that's going to be the name of the game here for the first 35 laps. We'll see who can get them. All right, here we go. Pace car makes the left turn down to the pits. Into the restart zone we go. Green flag is in the air. We're underway at Daytona. As they work their way onto the super stretch now for the first time, cars just about up to full pace. Up front, it's the 33 of Jeffrey Crosby Jr. as he runs alongside the pole sitter, the 44, Anthony English. As they work their way into turn 3, now officially up to full speed. Look at all the cars dancing around. That is as they roll over all the bumps in this old racetrack. And right now, Vicente Guerrero, he wants to get up to try to give some help to Crosby, but he just can't do it. Too many bumps in the corner. And how about the 5? Really, really aggressive right there for Rick Sanchez as he's going to get Anthony English back to the point before they get down into turn number 1. And we saw a little bit of lane controlling here last week. But again, that was at a much smoother surface. And of course, that was at Talladega. So you know it's going to be a lot different here tonight. But how about we hop on board just about right away here towards the middle of the pack and actually sitting on the inside. We'll go a little bit further towards the front here with Sean Stevens, who currently sits in 6th. running just behind that Chevy Land paint scheme. I believe, is that Vicente Guerrero? No, it's not. That's Sean Steve. Actually, take it back. That's Rick Sanchez. He's got that on the back. Boy, he's got the best view right now. Look at all the bumps that he went over there through 3 and 4. And at the same time, he's got to stick as close as he can to Anthony English, because when he fades off, that's when the outside gets that momentum. That's when they get a run. And so all he can do here is wait till it kind of smooths out, like right here down the short chute into turn 1. That's where he makes his push. And then right here, he's just hoping that Anthony English can hold on. But man, just so many bumps, especially on that bottom lane. It gets a little better as you get to the top, but I mean, it's going to be pretty much imminent no matter where you move around on this racetrack. So far, so good, though, as they remain 2x2 up front, about 6 to 7 rows deep. There you see last week's winner, Zach Fritsch, in the 12 running on the bottom. He sits currently just in front of the 81 of Dustin Logston. Adam Kilday in the 85, he's trying to make something happen right now. He currently sits on the outside of the racetrack just in front of the 388 of Douglas Johnson. The 61 there as well, but then Andy Brigante in the 13. Talked about him making a return here tonight. The question is, what can he do? Not a playoff driver, but still looking to see if he can maybe play spoiler and steal it from these playoff guys here tonight. As we look on the gearbox view, as he looks out back at the 17, that's Jimmy Reynolds. And is Jimmy going to split him? Yes, he will. Is this 3 wide? Yes, it is. First time here tonight that we're going to venture to try that move. And looks like Reynolds will get clear. I think the 61 there, Andy Brigante, said, I think I'm okay. You guys go ahead. And that picks Reynolds up a spot, as now you see the 16 of Nathan Warren. He's trying to move his way forward as well. By the way, I know we said this last week, but for anybody who wasn't here, a couple reminders of how you can spot the playoff drivers in the field here tonight. If you look on your left, that scoring tower, all the drivers that are highlighted in purple, those are the current drivers that are fighting to make it to the next round of the playoffs, as we are currently in the round of 16. So you should see 16 highlighted names, minus maybe one that didn't make it here tonight, which I believe was Bubba Winningham. As again, that's going to be a tough break for him. He's going to have a lot of work if he's going to be able to get in. I'm trying to remember if these guys have one more race in this round or if this is it. I believe they have one more, and then the next round might have been the one that's only 2 races. We'll look at the schedule a little bit later. But the point is, getting back to how you can spot some of these drivers, also notice the splitters, the spoilers, and the windshield sun strip. On the cars that have a purple spoiler, a purple splitter, and then that purple sun strip, again, that is the playoff car. So you can kind of get an idea of where they currently sit. As right now, you got 4 of them just about lined up on the inside, as Vicente Guerrero was able to finally take the lead. Actually, it was the 33 who got it first of Jeffrey Crosby Jr., but then Vicente Guerrero was able to get clear thanks to the push from Eric Laurie. He jumped down. Now that puts the 071 side by side for the lead as they rocket down the Daytona Super Stretch. And by the way, fuel percentage here tonight, we mentioned it, 45%. So you start to wonder, well, how long can they go? And the answer is somewhere between 19 to 21 laps. At least that's our general fuel window. And that, of course, could be maybe give or take a few laps. We'll have to see how this first run goes. Obviously, if you're out leading, going to be burning quite a bit more fuel than a driver that's sitting back, saving a little bit if they're running in the draft. Here we go, looking 3 wide down the short chute, the 16 of Nathan Warren. He's hungry. He wants to go to the front, and he's going to get a little bit dicey here. Notice how close he has to run to the wall, and with all those bumps, it's so tough to keep it out of the wall, because as soon as the front of the race car hits the racetrack, it bottoms out and it shoots that car up the track. And you figure you're that close to the wall, you hit a bump, there's a good chance that you're going to be making some contact with that outside safer barrier. It looks like Nathan Warren is going to go ahead and fade back. He'll drop in line just behind the 388 now of Douglas Johnson. And that'll reline up the inside and the outside to be even, as they're 2x2 for about 6 rows back. And then the drivers that are just kind of hanging around right now, we got quite a few of them. And again, you do have a fast repair here tonight, and it's kind of a split strategy. Some drivers, when they think about having that fast repair, they think, okay, I'll be extra aggressive here pretty much as long as I've got that fast repair. For other drivers, they kind of look at it as, no, maybe I want to go ahead and save it until we get closer to the end of this race in case I need it. But right now, I mean, you look at Stephen Lane, who currently sits back in 26, barely hanging on to the draft of Sean Dion. But, you know, Rick Seabrands, Len McNeese, Mark Mann, David Hunt, Kevin Freeze, Logan York, Tucker McClendon, all these drivers that we know they've got the speed to race up front, they're just sitting back right now, just playing it safe. They might be waiting to try to make it to this first pit stop before they even consider making a move. And then the 11 of Matt Wagner now looking to the inside of Andy Brigante. He'll pick that spot up. Go up a few more where we find Derek Donna, one of the playoff drivers, as right now he is sitting towards the middle portions of the playoff field. By the way, Shane Ward in 27th, that is one of the playoff drivers. He is going a lap down. I was just getting ready to note the field catching him, as now he's going to go into the outside wall. And boy, that's not the way the 39 wanted to start this race off, going a lap down in just the first 10 laps. So he's going to need a caution here. He's going to need one soon, but man, I'm not sure if he got a little damage there from when he tapped the wall or if he's just trying to recover, but he is significantly slower right now. He's going to have to hope that he can stick with the draft right here. As he stays high, the rest of the field will work by single file for the most part. And then he'll try to jump in somewhere here. Not going to be able to get him behind Rick Seabrands, it doesn't appear. So he'll have to try to get in a little bit further back. Does he? Yes, he does. No, maybe not. Not quite yet. The 104 of Stephen Lane gets to his inside now. Looks like maybe he's going to be able to jump in line. It looked like Tucker McClendon considered picking him up. But I think Shane said, you know what, you go ahead. I'll go ahead and just jump in right at the back of this group. And he'll try to continue from there. By the way, looking at the top speeds up front, these cars, we talk about a bumpy surface, but they are still absolutely flying. The Gen 4 series hitting well over 200 miles an hour before they hit the banking into turn number 3. And now the 33, Jeffrey Crosby Jr. leads the inside. Vicente Guerrero had moved back up. And for Anthony English in the 44, he has been the lead pusher now for at least a handful of laps or so after qualifying on pole and leading the first few. And it's good practice to really get a kind of a feel for both. But I'll tell you what, I was, so far in this race, I think I've been most impressed with the job that Rick Sanchez was able to do pushing. I mean, how close he was able to stay in the corner to me is just, and that's pretty incredible stuff. And now we see the 44 of Anthony English and the 071 of Eric Laurie kind of in the same boat, doing more or less of the same thing. I mean, look at this from the cockpit view. This is down the straightaway, and these cars did have a little bit of a more recent update where you can push a little bit harder than you used to be able to, but that doesn't change the fact that down in the corner here, you cannot push. And when it's this bumpy, you really can't push. When they're running side by side like that, boy, it makes it such a challenge for these drivers. But then as they exit off of 4, boy, that's a big, big shot right there that Anthony English gives to the back of Jeffrey Crosby Jr. to try to maintain some momentum. But up top, Vicente Guerrero, Eric Laurie, they had the tandem going. They were rolling. Is it enough to get clear? Yes, it is. The 14 of Vicente Guerrero will drop back to the inside. Now that just leaves 2 cars up top. The 071 of Eric Laurie and the 85 of Adam Kilday. And you can't make it. Again, you cannot make it to the end of the stage. You're going to have to pit for fuel at least once. In terms of twice, I think they'll be good to make it on one stop as long as they can make it at least 18 laps. And again, we think the general window is somewhere between 19 to 21. Now Vicente Guerrero back to the outside here. It looks like the 16 thought about sticking with them, but looks like Nathan Warren decided to jump back down, and now they've got a little bit of a 3-car tandem on the bottom. Watch for the 85 of Kilday here. If he gets clear, you wonder, does he think about jumping up here in front of Vicente Guerrero? Or does he keep it down, tucked to the yellow line for now? Don't forget that you cannot go below that yellow line to pass at any of these super speedways. And with this being a super speedway series, that pretty much is kind of a rule of thumb that I'm sure every driver is used to by now, because it applies at, well, every single racetrack that we go to over the course of the season. But either way, just a reminder, and it's important to remember, especially at a track this bumpy where maybe you're trying to search around for a little bit of a smoother surface. And, I mean, you know, who knows? Maybe you try to go below the apron down the front stretch coming to the line. And, I do mention that it is a little bit more interesting here at Daytona because the apron on the front stretch does have a little bit of banking. Now, of course, on New Daytona, that's not the case. It's a completely flat transition, so I could certainly see drivers wanting to utilize that if that rule wasn't in place. But with the no passing under yellow rule, you got to be careful. Can't make that move, even as tempting as it may be, especially coming to the stage break and then coming to the checkered flag at the end of this race. So still 2x2, just as things look like maybe they were starting to simmer down a little bit. They have quickly sparked back up as we've got about 5 cars trying to make something happen on the outside. And guess who? Kevin Freese in the 25. He is now up 13 positions from where he started this race at, as he currently runs in 4th. And he's working with, guess who? The 02 of Logan York, another driver who is sitting back for the start of this race and is now up 16 positions from where he started at. He currently sits in 2nd, but now he's going to go to the lead thanks to the push from Kevin Freese. So as York jumps low before they get to turn number 1, this will give Kevin Freese a chance to cool off just a little bit. Running just behind him, that's the 5, Rick Sanchez, and just behind them, another car that we haven't mentioned yet here tonight, and that's Dave Hunt in the 53. He is also another driver who is up well over 10 spots from where he started this race at. And oh man, I thought we were getting ready to go 3 wide there. I thought the 071 of Eric Laurie was going to get below Vicente Guerrero, but that inside showing quite a bit of disorganization right now. A lot of gaps here. We'll see if the outside can capitalize, but with only really 2 cars tandemed up and a 3rd car that's not quite there yet. And again, that's the 16 of Nathan Warren. They're going to have some work to do. Not sure if they're going to be able to get all 3 of these cars clear before we get to the pit stop. In fact, I don't see any way they do, as we're just about 3 to 5 laps away from that first green flag pit stop of the night. Kevin Freese got clear. He jumped to the inside. That puts Rick Sanchez now at the point up top. If we look at it all from the blimp cam, you notice some of the drivers that were sitting back earlier. I mean, we already saw a few of them actually go all the way to the front, but even some of the ones that were just trying to kind of hang on to this lead pack, play it safe, you notice that they are now also trying to close that distance up, trying to make sure that they are well within range of the draft so that when they pit, the idea is that when you come out, you are still within range of the draft. You can keep your positioning. Mark Mann in the 04 sitting 19th. He's up 3 positions from where he started this race at. And there's Jeff Crosby Sr. in the 15. He's still got some work to do as he currently sits in 20th. 17 of 70 laps now complete. And by the way, if you're just tuning in, we certainly appreciate you being here. And the other thing that I did want to bring up here about what to watch for in this race tonight, I know we talked about the playoff drivers, and you kind of get the whole winning you're in mindset, but you got to think about points if you're not Zach Fritsch, who of course already kind of locked himself in with the win that he got last week at Talladega. So after last week, this is what points are currently looking like. Zach Fritsch has that win. He currently leads the drivers in the round of 16. And you got to remember, with the way the cutoff is to the next round here for the OP ButtKicker Grand National Series, we don't go to the round of 12. No, instead, we kick things kind of right out of the window, if you will, as we go straight to the round of 8. So 8 drivers going to be eliminated. So that just kind of increases the stress level that much more. But again, it's Zach Fritsch currently leading the point standings. And then it's Nathan Warren in second, with Jeff Crosby Jr. in third, Dustin Logston fourth, Len McNeese in fifth, Anthony English sixth with Rick Sanchez in seventh, and then Dana Shepard, currently the last driver above that cut line, and he is currently 4 points to the good. Jeff Crosby Sr., 4 points below the cut line. Adam Kilday 6 below, as is, looks like the 104 of Lane. And then Winningham is 66, who again did not make this race tonight. So, pit stops and big lockups out back here. Almost some trouble. Did everybody indeed getting clean? It looks like they did. Maybe some trouble for Kilday there, as I believe he clipped the grass. But we'll see if he gets a penalty or not. The 85 will still roll down to his pit box here relatively unscathed. Man, that was certainly a bit of an interesting turn of events. As the pit stops again, I was expecting it to be more so kind of on the later side of the window that we said. I know it was only 3 laps, but still. I mean, this is most of the field making this stop on pretty much the lap the window opens, and some penalties here. And this is going to hurt a few drivers here, as we still got some sitting in the pits, including Adam Kilday, Andy Brigante, Stephen Lane, Sean Dion. I mean, this is not the way a lot of them wanted to go, and now we're going to see our second round of pit stops here. Do they get in a little cleaner? Boy, a lot of lockups, and for Zach Fritsch, that car started to jump sideways on him, but it looks like he does indeed hold on. And I would have to argue that the second round of pit stops was probably a little bit cleaner than the first. So as they'll all work into their box, let's go back and take a look at this incident here coming to the pits for Adam Kilday as he clipped the grass. But boy, watch this. Look at all the cars that peel off here off of turn 4, and watch how crazy this gets as everybody's just kind of fighting for room. The 071 actually got tagged by Adam Kilday, and then Kilday just slightly gets into the grass with a lockup there at the last second. Further back, they're all hard on the brakes trying to get it woed up. But overall, a good job by everybody keeping it together despite all the chaos, as now we'll see Sean Stevens, the last car who has not made a pit stop yet. He'll bring it down. And then here comes John Guerra in the 59. Looks like he'll make his stop. Tucker McClendon, don't believe he's pit yet, but it's Nathan Warren, at least for the moment, that comes out with the lead in the 16 car. The 33 of Jeff Crosby Jr., he's going to get a pull as he's getting pushed by Zach Fritsch. But watch that group that already made a pit stop right now being led by Vicente Guerrero. Kevin Freese, he's there as well, the lead pusher. And then it's Anthony English and Logan York, the other two tagged in line just behind, and they are going to blow the doors off that trio that just came out of the pits this last lap. And so they'll get clear, but I don't think they're going to be able to pull away. And now you are officially good to go to the end of the stage. Even for Vicente Guerrero, if he's, burning a lot more fuel by running at the front here, he's not going to have to worry about running out, because remember, they made it all the way to lap 19. You figure, and he was leading a lot of laps, so you figure if Vicente Guerrero makes it another 19 laps, well, he's going to make it to at least lap 38, so he's good to go. And if he's good to go, everybody else in tow is going to be as well. So when they cross the line this next time, it'll be 22 of 70 laps complete, and that's going to put us with 14 laps to go here in the first stage. Vicente Guerrero continues to lead. It's Kevin Freese in second, followed by Anthony English and Logan York. And then this second pack, which is quickly catching, being led currently by Nathan Warren. And if we go to the gyro cam, he can see the back bumper of Logan York in his windshield. They are now within a second, in fact, almost back to within half a second. And it looks like Warren's pulling with him. Jeff Crosby Jr., Zach Fritsch, Dustin Logston. And it looks like even Mark Mann is hanging with this duo. Excuse me, not duo, but this second group, rather. And then you got Douglas Johnson, Rick Seabrands, Jimmy Reynolds. So it's going to end up kind of probably forming out to about a 12-car lead pack that is battling for this stage once they all get grouped back together. And once they do that, that's when things can start to get a little bit dicey. Green flag pit stop was the first real moment of kind of hold your breath that we had here tonight, where I thought that we were going to have our first caution, but we didn't. Everybody kept it clean, and now here we go. The 16, Nathan Warren, he has got there, and he's going to jump to the outside. The 33 of Logston, he's going to go with him. Excuse me, that's Jeff Crosby Jr. Further back, I was wondering if the 81 of Logston would jump out here. Fritsch in the 12, he decided to go. Now what will the 81 do off of 2? Looks like he'll stay low for now, so it's going to be 3 versus 3, bottom to top. Now they do get a fourth car in that high lane. Guess who? It's the 20, or excuse me, actually that's going to be, it's the 25 of Freese. Kevin Freese. For a minute, I thought maybe he was sticking with that inside, but no. He's the car that jumped out to now lead this top lane. And they're catching a few lappers here. Going to go 3 wide through the tri-oval. This can get a little bit dicey for just a moment here. We'll go to the blimp cam, see if they can all get around these lappers without any issue. And now they didn't quite get clear here. They're going to have to go by him right as they're entering turn 1. That's a really sketchy place to have to do it. So far, so good. The 16 gets clear of Rick Sanchez. Looks like the 33 does as well. And now the 12 of Zach Fritsch. He'll get clears. He'll now jump clear of the 5. And by the way, that's a bad break for Rick Sanchez to lose a lap. Not just him, but we had a lot of drivers, a lot of playoff drivers too, with mistakes on that pit stop that cost them a lap. Jeff Crosby Sr., he has fallen a lap down. Rick Sanchez, who's going to tuck on to the end of this lead pack. Len McNeese, Derek Donna, Shane Ward, Adam Kilday. And so they're all just now trying to survive and hopefully either get the wave round or the lucky dog when we eventually get to this stage break in just about 11 laps from now. And again, if you're just tuning in, you are watching the OP Racing ButtKicker Grand National Series on PGR eSports. Hope everybody's having a good time here tonight. Hope that you're having a good Wednesday night. As Bliss in the chat says, great broadcast. Certainly appreciate it. And we thank you for watching, Bliss. And I'll tell you what, it makes it so much easier up here in the booth when they put on a product like this. I mean, you know, I think part of it's the fact, like I said earlier, that everybody knows they've got a fast spare, so you can afford to kind of do this and be more aggressive. But, I mean, you know, at most tracks, 2x2 is not quite that exciting, right? Even at a super speedway. But let me tell you something. Here tonight at Old Daytona, Legacy Daytona, and as a lot of drivers describe it, Bumpy Daytona, it feels the equivalent of 3 wide here or 4 wide at Talladega, which is the fact that you've got to do pretty much everything in your power every lap to keep the car in the line that you're running, especially if you're kind of on the inside. That would make me think that this outside would start to become the favored line, if you will, as this race continues to go on. As, by the way, we'll take a look at a few of the driver cams that we have here tonight. Most of the drivers that are carrying one sitting with some trouble right now as we go all the way back to the 23rd spot. This is Derek Donna in a 215. Again, one of the playoff drivers. We're going to see if he can advance from the round of 16 to the round of 8. And he's going to have some work to do. He needs to dig out of the hole that he's already kind of formed here tonight, but he's still got a lot of time to do so. And as it stands right now, Derek Donna only a lap down, so you can't cut him out, not yet. Well, going up through the field to that 14 spot, one of the drivers who is, again, not with the leaders at the moment, but is, again, one of the playoff drivers, that is Stephen Lane, who is up 11 from where he started. And right now he's getting pushed by the 61 of Andy Brigante. See, the 39 is there as well. A couple lappers at Shane Ward, the Canadian driver who's doing the pushing right there. And then we go a little bit further towards the front in the lead group. In fact, the man that's running second and leading the outside, that's where we find Vicente Guerrero. Well, you can see he is looking laser focused right now. Vicente riding that high line. Even though he's the leader, he does not have the easiest job because he knows Kevin Freese has to push him with all he's got to keep him out front. And oh boy, what do we got here? The lappers trying to get organized as now looks like they're going to move up top, and Vicente Guerrero Boy, that was probably a hold your breath moment there, as you wondered if they were just going to stay split or if they were going to get organized, as now it looks like they actually get into the wall. Trying to figure out exactly who that was. That was the 768 of Sean Dion. With pretty significant contact to the outside safety barrier as he was trying to kind of get out of the way. And then last but certainly not least is last week's winner, Zach Fritsch. He's carrying an onboard view, but only going to show it once here tonight because it looks like it got set up sideways. So we can see Zach. Unfortunately, though, he is about 90 degrees rotated from where he should be. Either way, Zach Fritsch right now, he is another driver who's running in this lead pack in a good position to potentially fight for some points here at the end of the stage. And for Fritsch, and in fact, he actually mentioned this last week. When you have a run like that, he's going to probably try to pay it back to some of the guys that helped him last week. So if he gets in position on the last lap behind Jimmy Reynolds, who, if you remember, pushed Zach Fritsch to the win last week, he may try to return the favor and just say, you know what, I'll stick behind you, Jimmy. I'll push you all the way home. Just keep a steady wheel. Now, Jimmy Reynolds, not one of the playoff drivers, but again, had a great run last week and looking to build upon it here this week. Oh, man, Logan York. Boy, he bobbled up the racetrack. Almost got into the left rear of Vicente Guerrero. That was a really, really close call. But as they remain 2x2 now, as they work their way down the front stretch into the tri-oval, it's 30 complete, and now that leaves us with, I believe, just 5 laps to go here in the stage. And trying to remember back from last week, again, we just picked this series up last week, but I believe that they throw the stage break on the lap of, so I believe the stage will actually be on lap 35. But of course, we'll get a better idea based off when they cross the start-finish line if we see the caution or not. But all the shuffling, and ooh, had a big wiggle right there towards the middle of this group as they were working down the super stretch. Nobody has dared to take it 3 wide just yet. They all stay 2x2, but man, Logan York continues to wash up. This is getting you really, really nervous, probably as a driver that's running in this outside line, as you keep seeing that 0-2 just jog up just a little bit into the corner, just enough to get you uncomfortable. As Kevin Freeze on the opposite end of the spectrum, he looks very comfortable right now, pushing the back of Vicente Guerrero. You see him duck a little bit to the left to get some air, help cool the temps. And then as they work off into turn 1, he washes up just briefly. Logan York on his inside, trying to keep the car as low as he can. Still no caution as of yet. If we were to get one at this point, it could potentially end the stage. We're going to be coming to exactly 3 laps to go in the stage when we cross the line this next time around. And for Anthony English, he qualified on pole, but he's looking to see if he can get the job done here by getting the stage win, then potentially going for the sweep if he could get the race win later as well. Vicente Guerrero, though, the 14 is all but clear. Now he does get clear. So Kevin Freeze pushes the 14 clear. That'll now put Kevin in position to potentially try to fight for this stage win. And for Vicente Guerrero, I got to wonder, is he going to stay tucked to the bottom now for these next 3 laps, or does he think about trying to jump up potentially one more time? The 16 of Nathan Warren now in position of lead pusher. Zach Fritsch there as well, but Vicente Guerrero was able to jump back to the top of the racetrack. He'll cover and now get a push from the 25 of Kevin Freeze. Anthony English starts to draw back even on the bottom as they work their way up the banking in turn 3. That was due to a push from Logan York, the 33. Jeff Crosby Jr., he's trying to hang in this mix as well. He sits third on the inside. The 5 of Rick Sanchez, he's still battling to be the man who gets the lucky dog. And I believe one of the drivers that he was battling with has now fallen to the back of this lead pack as we have hit just 2 laps to go here in the stage. Vicente Guerrero on the outside. Anthony English still currently rolling on the inside. Don't forget, when we go green for stage number 2, it's looking like here with, again, this stage being at lap 35, that it'll probably be, if I had to guess, maybe around 30 laps or so of a run. So it'll still be a one pit stopper, if you will, under green. You got to make 1 green flag stop, but this was certainly good practice, and this was very clean so far. We'll see if they can keep more of the same, as I'm sure handling at this point is starting to really, really get worse for wear as these tires are worn out, and this track does not start to lose the bumps as you go through a run. 34-70 complete now. White flag in the air here for stage 1. And again, do believe this is the white flag. If not, then it will be next lap. But as they run, still 2x2 for the lead. Will anybody dare to try to take it 3 wide? Remember, it's just stage points. That means more for some than it does to others. And that looks like we're going to actually have one bail off further back. I believe that might have been, is that the 53? Yes, it is. That is the 53 machine trying to get out of the way. That's Dave Hunt. And so as they now work through 3 and 4, Who's got the better momentum right now? It's a drag race. This could be really close. Coming all the way down to the green and white checkered. Anthony English on the outside. Anthony English on the inside. Guerrero on the outside, but it's Guerrero who gets the push, and he will take stage 1 here at Daytona. If that was indeed the green and white checkered, we'll see if we get a caution here. If not, then that might mean that this is indeed the last lap. No caution as of yet. Again, it was either going to be on the start of lap 35 or at the end of lap 35. And they continue to race, so looks like that was not the stage. This lap will be, though, whoever gets back to the line first. Vicente Guerrero still on the outside. He gets another big push. Not enough to get clear to drop down. This time, though, the 0-2 of Logan York. He'll now give a big shove to Anthony English. He's going to try to get 44 out in front. English bobbles now. He's split in the middle. He'll have to jump up top. Out back, they're going to wreck. There goes the 12. Zach Fritsch is going to go around, as he will now slide through the grass, and the trial caution is out. The stage will end before they got back to the green and white checkered. It looks like the 81 of Dustin Logston was also involved. And at least for now, your stage 1 winner is being shown as Anthony English, but we'll have to go back to replay and confirm that. Boy, what a crazy way to end the stage there. Looks like Fritsch was the first car that got turned around off of 4 here. Let's go back and get a different angle here. This is from the chopper view. So this is coming off of 4. Watch the 16. That's Nathan Warren. He's just going to get into the outside wall. I'm not sure what sends him there. Does he get a push here? Does he just hit a bump, get tight? I think he just hits a bump, gets tight. And then once he gets into that outside wall, I mean, for Zach Fritsch and company, there's nowhere they could go. Watch this. The 81, he's also going to have nowhere to go. That was Dustin Logston. And then they're going to collect one more here, actually, as that's the 388 on the bottom of the racetrack. And 388, of course, nowhere to go either. That was Douglas Johnson. So Fritsch saves it. I don't believe he got too much damage from it, but certainly going to lose some track position there and doesn't gain as many stage points as he would have liked as a result. As you see him slide through the grass, loops it back around, and was able to at least roll to the finish of the stage. I want to get another angle or two of this here. First from the cockpit view, because watch this push that Logan York delivers to Anthony English here through 3 and 4, which is what gets him out in front. I didn't think we could push in the corners, but Logan York, he was ready to try it. He tried it right there, and I mean, man, I don't know how Anthony English hung on to that race car, but he did, and boy, it worked out because it got him out in front. And then as they wreck out back, you see English drop back low, and so he will indeed be your stage winner. Give you one more look at that finish there as they drag race back to the line, but once English was able to cover the bottom, even if there wouldn't have been a caution, don't think that anybody else would have been able to do much with that 44, as he takes it by about a car and a half. And then I do want to go back one more time before we take our first break of the night here to this incident for Zach Fritsch, and just kind of watch it from the TV1 view and look at the contact here, and you be the judge of who you feel like got the worst of it. I believe it was the 12 of Fritz, though. As you see, he got tagged there again by the 388. That was actually pretty big contact for the 388, maybe a little bit more than I thought. He may have actually been the driver that got the worst of it, as that was Douglas Johnson. And then there goes Fritsch sliding through the grass. There's maybe a little bit of contact for Dustin Logston on the inside wall as well in the 81. But nonetheless, as we go back live now, back up front, leading the way is Anthony English. Jeffrey Crosby Jr. is in second, Vicente Guerrero third, Rick Seabrand's fourth, and Jimmy Reynolds rounding out your top 5. All right, we're going to go ahead and take a quick break. We'll be right back, and when we do, we'll see if we can get a word with your stage winner, Anthony English. Stick with us here at Daytona.
I played a couple of simulators, and this was like very responsive, especially the hydraulics and stuff, the motion and stuff was really, really on point.
But you feel like you're really driving, it feels real.
It adds so much to the experience. It's just really, really cool.
It was pretty awesome.
Green flag is in the air. We are racing.
3x3.
Almost no trouble. Around goes Alex Hill. Hard into the outside wall goes Hill. They're wrecking big time out back. We're not going to throw a caution. To the finish. Who gets it at the line? Cody Nagels wins it at Talladega.
All right, welcome back to Daytona International Speedway, where the stage is complete for the OP Racing's ButtKicker Grand National Series. Just as we got back from break here, realized that lights did go off this lap on the pace car, so we're not going to have time at the current moment to get a word with your stage winner. But again, it was Anthony English for anybody that missed it in the 44, and he will maintain that track position now that he's refueled, and he will start from the inside of row 1 here for this restart. On the outside, it's going to be Jeff Crosby Jr., Vicente Guerrero, Nathan Warren in row 2, Zach Fritsch, and Stephen Lane back in row 3. All right, here we go. Pace car is going to dive to the pits, back into the restart zone. Here we go. The final stage at Daytona is underway, and it is going to be, looks like exactly 32 laps to go as they cross the line that time. Back up to speed they go. Everybody trying to grab through the gears as quick as they can. But it's the 44 of Anthony English who's going to lead him down into turn number 1. Vicente Guerrero lined up pretty well behind him. Meanwhile, for the 33 of Jeff Crosby Jr. on the outside, he still awaits some help, and it's going to be in the form of the 16 of Nathan Warren once he's able to get there. Warren doesn't look like has the playoff stripes on that car just yet, but remember, he is a playoff driver. Zach Fritsch was able to recover well after being involved in that incident that brought out the caution just before the official end there of the stage. And so, you know, I was sitting here thinking about it, and of course with that caution, we got to go green about 2 laps sooner than we would have without that caution if we would have, of course, waited for the stage break. Now you see Fritsch in 12, he jumps to the inside, but the reason I mention that is because that makes the fuel run, well, maybe not. I was going to say that makes the fuel run a little bit more interesting, but I guess it really doesn't. You figure they've got 31 laps to go now. It's still going to be a solid one stop, as again, you can make it about 19 to 21 laps on fuel in these cars. And so as they stay 2x2, I don't know if we'll see any 3-wide just yet. I think that most drivers are probably going to try to wait until we get to that pit stop before they start to think about doing that. But the problem is track position, right? You got to have it, especially for when we do make that green flag stop. You want to be near the leaders so that you can leave with the leaders. So 61, trouble here. Oh my goodness. Wow, boy, that was a big internet spike there for Andy Brigante. And I bet you that scared a lot of people. Watch this. This is a wild look. This is what can happen sometimes when you have an internet spike. I mean, the game gets all confused, and for a minute, you would have thought this car was destroyed. Look at this. I mean, both tires get completely torn off, only being held on by the tethers. It looks like here he's about to wreck, but he's driving still, and then once the internet kind of picks back up, you can see it immediately kind of reestablishes that car. But wow, what a scary moment that was for the 61 of Andy Brigante. Meanwhile, back up front, the 33 of Jeff Crosby Jr. now finds himself out in front with just 30 laps to go here at the high banks of Daytona International Speedway. Still 2x2. Nobody has been able to get that third lane going, and anybody that's tried it has not been successful. At least not as of yet. But again, still plenty of time. Still a pit stop to go. And just as I said it, here we go. Look on the outside. Guess who? Kevin Freeze, one of the drivers, one of the veterans of the series. And he knows how to get it done, and not just this series, but Monday night as well, along with pretty much all 3 of the main series. And in fact, I think there's 4 when you think about Saturday, think about Wednesday, you think about Monday, and then you think about Thursday with the throwback series. The point is, Kevin Freeze, he knows how to get it done at all the ones, especially the ones that cover super speedways. And right now, he is now going to draw even on the outside with the 39. Continues to try to fight for whatever position he can get. The 39, by the way, good recovery. Trying to get back up is, oh, do we have some trouble here? I believe we may have. That was, yeah, we did. The 104 off track, or I guess I should say off on the apron, rather. That was Stephen Lane. See if he had some trouble here getting off of the corner, or rather if somebody maybe caused him a little bit of trouble. Yeah, there was trouble, that's for sure. Watch this. As they're coming off the corner, they're 3 wide, and then I think the 104 maybe just hits a bump on exit of the corner. And as he does so, watch what this does. Just gets loose as he gets up in, I believe he got up into, let's see here. That's the 39 that he's going to need to get up into, who we were just starting to talk about having a good run, starting to bring it back. That's Shane Ward. Watch this. Yeah, once he gets into him here, Shane Ward was really, really lucky to save this race car. And now as we go back live, caution is out. Oh boy. We've had some trouble in the brief time that we were looking at that last incident. And big trouble for a couple of drivers, including Sean Stevens, who now sits in the pits. He's got smoke coming out the hood of that race car, so that's going to be a tow bill and a fast repair. It looks like Jeff Crosby Sr. has damage, as does Len McNeese. So it brings out just your second caution here on lap 44 of 70. Let's go back and take a look at what sparked it right here. And I think let's go see where this starts at here. I'm not actually sure. Len McNeese does indeed get some damage as a result. Looks like from the data that we have, it may have been something that started right around Douglas Johnson here. So let's go first to the chopper view. And does it start ahead or does it start behind? Oh, no, it starts ahead. It most definitely starts ahead there. It looked like that was actually the 12 of Zach Fritsch. First car that I saw really get into the outside wall here, and that's exactly what's going to happen. So watch Kevin Freeze. The 25 has to check up, at least is what it looked like there as we were kind of rewinding it back. Let's see here. 25 of Freeze, he's got a bit of a run. He goes to jump to the outside of the 16. Warren hits a bump, and right as Warren hits a bump, that's right as Kevin Freeze kind of just starts to get to his outside quarter panel, and the 16, that shoots his car up into the left front of Kevin Freeze, and that sends Freeze into the outside safer barrier. I think the 5 sees that, so he starts moving down just a little bit. Again, that's Rick Sanchez. At the same time, the 12 of Zach Fritsch, he started moving up a little bit. Watch this again here. Does Sanchez move down? He does a little bit. Yeah, maybe about a quarter of a lane, but then the 12, like I said, is probably coming up a little more than the 5's coming down. Either way, just two guys racing hard and trying to watch out for a car that they just saw go into the outside wall. As there's Fritsch washing up just a little bit, and once he did, it's on from there. Watch this. Big hit for the 12 of Zach Fritsch. The 5 of Rick Sanchez kind of gets stuck under him there for a moment, and wow, man, huge hit for the 27 and the 5. Rick Sanchez got airborne as all 4 tires got off the ground. That car pirouetted once or twice and then finally set back down. Let's go watch this here for a couple different angles here. First one is going to have to be the onboard view here for Rick Sanchez as we watch this crazy ride. We'll go back here again to the most recent incident, which is the one that we're currently taking a look at. Here we go. There's the first big hit, and then as he gets turned back down here, man, there's the second big hit. It leads to quite a few torn up race cars and quite a few good ones here. This will have some playoff implications, depending on if any of the drivers involved do not have their fast spur anymore. Andy Brigante, you saw he got involved. The 27 was, by the way, Sean Stevens. And there's the 17 in the grass of Jimmy Reynolds. Logan York checks up to make sure he can avoid it without any further contact. And we'll give you another view or two of this one here. First one from the blimp cam. And I want to give you one more view here. This is from TV2. Right there. Man, that's such a big hit. And that'll do enough damage to where you probably have to take your fast repair, even if you repair the aero, because the suspension is just totaled when you hit the wall that hard. But for Fritsch, I don't know if he used his fast repair on that earlier incident or not. You got to hope not after being involved in this one. Either way, though, as we go back up front, Anthony English currently being scored as your leader. Nathan Warren runs in second. You've got Jeff Crosby Jr. in third. Sente Guerrero in fourth. Stephen Lanes in fifth. Dave Hunt in sixth. And it's Douglas Johnson in seventh with Jimmy Reynolds in eighth. Kevin Freeze in ninth. And Matt Wagner currently rounding out your top 10. And so it looks like it's going to be 24 laps to go when we get the green flag back in the air. So, by the way, apologize for some of the brief stuttering that you might have noticed there. Doing the best we can here with the PC that I've got, and once in a while here gets, I believe it's the CPU, just gets a little bit overheated, so hopefully it straightens out here as it starts to cool itself back down. If not, worst case scenario, and I'm mentioning this now because this goes for future reference, if it gets really bad or if the issues persist for too long, You will see I'll have to most likely end up going to an intermission or an ad break to get things sorted out, but I think we're okay. Looks like they're starting to get back down to the usual range as of now. So that's good news as we get ready to go back green. So the lights are off on the pace car. Now, by the way, 25 laps to go. You're still not able to make it on fuel, right? You're still going to have to make a green flag stop. We expect it to be, they can make it all the way to 19 to 20, 21 laps. And so you figure if you were going to try to save it to the end, I know I said you can't, but I guess in theory, that's about 3 laps or so that you'd have to save. I just don't see it. I don't see anybody trying that strategy. And, if you're going to try that strategy, but at the same time the leaders are pushing the pace, it may not work out either way. So we'll see. But I believe everybody here is going to indeed make another green flag pit stop somewhere right around lap 19. So here we go. Pace car looking to make the left turn down to the pits. And again, it will be a 24 lap to go restart to get ourselves to the end of the Brads Brass Flamingo 175 here at Daytona International Speedway as the green flag is back in the air. And it's a good restart for the first 2 rows, but it looks like it is going to be the 33 of Jeff Crosby Jr. who gets to the back bumper of the guy he's pushing first. Vicente Guerrero, now he'll arrive on scene. He's going to give some help to the 16 of Nathan Warren. Don't count out the 53, Dave Hunt. We saw him at the front earlier. He decided to fade back a little bit, but now he is right back where he left off. Zach Fritsch, he's also on the outside, but a lot further back. He may need a little help if he wants to get up to those 2 or 3 lead lap cars, or I guess I should say not lead lap cars, but leaders that are currently sitting on the outside. But look at that. Boy, Vicente Guerrero with no effort, ever so smoothly, was able to just push the 16 of Warren clear down the backstretch. Warren jumps low, and now that opens it up for Vicente Guerrero and Dave Hunt to try to make something happen up top. We talked about Vicente Guerrero a little bit earlier, but this guy is about as cool, calm, and collected as they come. One of the playoff drivers, and shouldn't be a surprise. He is going to be trying to win the championship this season with how good of a run he's had so far through not just the regular season, but even last week in the first round of the playoffs. First race in the first round of the playoffs. And so now as they rock down the super stretch, the outside continues to die. Nobody up there to help the 2-car tandem of Dave Hunt and Vicente Guerrero. And now maybe they might get a little bit here in just a lap or 2, because guess who? Logan York. He's pushing the 81 of Dustin Logston on the outside. They are trying to go to the front. We'll see if anybody else decides to jump up. Looks like there will be one car that does. It's the 16 of Nathan Warren. And so as he moves back up, that puts Vicente Guerrero back in position of lead pusher instead of leader of this race. And that helps kind of maintain the momentum of this second groove, if you will, when you have at least 3 cars versus when you have 2, when they just can't seem to keep up the same pace as the other lines. Still no 3 wide, though, at least not as of yet. Just as I say that, maybe a little peek there by Logan York, maybe trying to drag Dustin Logston with him, saying, come on, let's go 3 wide. I'm ready to go, and that's exactly what they're going to try. Oh, man, the 81 just about hooked the 53 into the fence. That was a really, really close call right there for Dustin Logston. A heck of a job to keep it out of him there. Let him save it. Wow, that could have been really, really big here with 21 laps to go. So Vicente Guerrero currently leading that top lane. On the bottom, it's the 16 of Nathan Fuller. Logan York still trying 3 wide, but he doesn't have any help, at least not as of yet. We'll hit 20 laps to go when we cross the line this next time around. So we're going to take another break, but we'll go side by side so you don't miss a thing. We'll be right back at Daytona.
I played a couple of simulators, and this was like very responsive. Especially the hydraulics and stuff, the motion and stuff was really, really on point.
But you feel like you're really driving. It feels real.
It adds so much to the experience. It's just really, really cool.
It was pretty awesome.
flag is in the air. We are racing.
3x3.
Almost in trouble. Around goes Alex Hill. On into the outside wall goes Hill. They're wrecking big time out back. We're not going to throw a caution. To the finish. Who gets it in the line? Cody Nagels wins it in Talladega.
Welcome back to the Brads Bass Flamingo 175. I think it was actually Brads Brass. Interesting name for the race here tonight, but of course, drivers have the opportunity to sponsor each and every one of these playoff races, and so that's where the names come from. I believe last week was the HR Racing 185. And again, thank you all so much for tuning in, but right now, 17 laps to go, and the story on track is this lead group and how things are going to continue to shake out here as we work closer and closer towards the end of this race. Remember, one of the big things that, we were kind of talking about and we were keeping an eye on was pit stops and how things were going to shake up in terms of when we would see that final pit stop. And in fact, we've already seen a couple things here since we went back green. I want to go back and take a look at a few of them here. So this was Zach Fritz making his way down to the pits, and so that's why we saw him actually lose a lap. And then we go back a little bit further here. As this group worked off, this was a few more of the pit stops that we saw. And so this is kind of the split strategy of some drivers deciding to go in a little bit sooner than later to try to, get together and have more laps to run versus the drivers that decided to stay out and then maybe go in a little bit later. So it'll be really interesting to see how all the different how all the different strategies kind of blend back together. And if you had a penalty, then obviously that's going to certainly hurt a lot of things as well. And for Anthony English, just now working his way out of the pits, he's going to need a caution, as are a lot of drivers that have lost touch with this lead pack. And now they're 3 wide here, as that's the 104 on the apron, Stephen Lane. And he is still trying to gather it back up into turn 1. He finally does. And man, oh man, for Stephen Lane, big moment there. And he might be in danger of losing this lead draft here. They're single file, so he may still be able to catch back up. For Vicente Guerrero right here, he currently sits 3rd, and he's in pretty good position. He is currently the 2nd highest running playoff driver, as he sits just behind the leader, Dustin Logston. And they're separated by the 53 of Dave Hunt, who is not currently, not one of the playoff drivers in general. So we saw that pitch strategy from some of the drivers that decided to go when they did. Now we still have some of them that have not made this final pit stop, not yet, and just as I said it, here they come, and so everybody looks like it's going to get down to the pits clean, at least in this group right here, and that'll hand the lead off for now to Jeff Crosby Sr., who I got to believe is just playing a strategy for kind of a gamble for a caution, if you will. We'll see if he gets one. I just don't know with the way it's going now, but with the way these packs are going to merge back together, then that could certainly change. Look on the track map. You see that big purple blob, or the clump of purple blobs, if you will, working into the tri-oval? That is the group that is going to be looking to take over the lead, and they have got a lot more momentum than Vicente Guerrero and a few others here that are just now trying to get back up to speed as they work on the flat part of the apron into turn 1. And this worked out really, really well for Mark Mann and company, Rick Seabrands, the 17 of Jimmy Reynolds, Adam Kilday, the 071, and then there's the 44 of Anthony English, but unfortunately for him, that's not for position, as again, he has fallen a lap down, had some sort of issue there when they came to the pit. So as Jeff Crosby Sr. continues to stay out, we'll see if he decides to bring it down this next time around here. And then you've still got a few more that have not made that pit stop yet. Looks like, no, I take that back, actually. Those are the last 2. or last one I should say now, is Dustin Logston, though, who is leading the inside here. He's going to get passed up by the 04 of Mark Mann, thanks to the push from Rick Seabrands. And now the race is on with just 13 laps to go. Get your picks in. Who is going to win this one here tonight? Mark Mann leads the bottom. He got a great push from Rick Seabrands to get him out in front. The 4 went with him, but they may have gotten a little bit too far out in front. Here comes the top. Jimmy Reynolds, he leads the way as they rocket down the super stretch into turn 3. Now they're going to draw even. The 85 of Adam Kilday trying to get Jimmy Reynolds back to the front here at Daytona. And you've got a mix. You've got some playoff drivers and you've got some non-playoff drivers. Who's working with who and who wants to win it the most? Jimmy Reynolds came so close last week. He pushed Zach Fritsch, one of the playoff drivers, to a win. This week, will somebody return the favor and help that 17 find his way to victory lane? As for Mark Mann, we didn't see him last week, but we saw him this week. And so far, he has looked really, really good tonight. Runs on the inside, continues to lead. Rick Seabrands in the 4. He's kind of been quiet here tonight. But now late in the going, he started to make some noise as he's made his way to the front. And now he finds himself in really, really good position here as we're closing in on 11 laps to go when we cross the line this time around. Jeff Crosby Sr. has not pit yet, but looks like now he officially has, as he'll bring it down to the pits. This will be for fuel. Not sure if he'll take any tires. And then as he does so, he will surrender the lead as now they're going to go 3 wide. Here we go. Kevin Freese looking up top with the 33. That's Jeff Crosby Jr. They're trying to make something happen. I think they need one more car to really get this line going. Will it be somebody from out back or will it be somebody ahead of them? Jimmy Reynolds content to run the middle for now. I think it's going to be Logan York in the 02. Watch that blue and black car with the yellow rims. Sure enough, there he goes. Logan York is going to jump to the 3rd lane down the super stretch. And this is going to put them all back to even as they work into turn 3. And remember, at this point in the run, tires are starting to really wear out. Drivers, they've got the fuel to make it. But again, as handling starts to go away, the bumps do not. These cars are going to be really tough to hold on to for these final 10 laps as they're going to go by Zach Fritsch. They'll take another lap from that 12 car. Jimmy Reynolds continues to lead in the middle, but now he'll lose it to the bottom. That's Mark Mann who is going to take it back over thanks to a push from the 4 of Rick Seabrands in the middle. The 07-1, by the way, kind of the last, I don't want to say the last hope, but kind of the last effort, if you will, for this middle line. That's Eric Laurie, as they just don't have any more help. So kind of the outside and the middle lane are, I'm surprised they're surging as much as they are. I mean, look at this. Kevin Freese all but got clear right there into turn 3. He doesn't quite get it, but the inside has the advantage in terms of numbers, but I think it's just older tires and trying to hold it down by the apron is really making this inside line struggle to keep it up front. As now Rick Seabrands, Dustin Logston, maybe a little bumper-to-bumper contact there, almost turned the 4 car around. He holds on as we now hit 9 laps to go. Off into turn 1 as they climb the 30-plus degrees of banking. Mark Mann still finds himself out in front. The 17 of Jimmy Reynolds leads the middle. Kevin Freese still trying to make this top lane work. Logan York had swapped back to the middle, but it's the 16 of Nathan Fuller who moved his way back to the top. Kevin Freese now going to go back to the point. He gets clear of the middle at least briefly, but he's not going to take it. Jimmy Reynolds was able to get clear. He jumped to take the lead on the bottom. And now that's going to allow Kilday to cool down a little bit as fresh temps from the 07-1 of Eric Laurie is going to cause this outside line to really struggle. We'll see if they decide to try to kind of recycle this group. And looks like that's exactly what they're going to do as the 33 tucks back down in line. And that puts Kevin Freese all by himself up on that 3rd lane. 7.5 laps to go as they work their way off of turn number 2. Adam Kilday, one of the playoff drivers, looking to get a win here tonight to lock himself in, as is Eric Laurie. After those two, you've got 4 non-playoff drivers before we find the 81 and the 33. That's Dustin Logston and then Jeff Crosby Jr. Boy, for Dustin Logston, it's been a pretty good run pretty much all night. But the biggest mover inside your top 10 currently is still a 5th place running car, and now the 6th place running car, rather, of Rick Seabrands, as he currently sits up 21 positions from where he started this race at here tonight. 7 laps to go as they stay 2 by 2 at the front of the field. No 3rd lane has challenged again as of yet, at least since Kevin Freese and company lost their momentum. But notice who's lined up in the outside. I'm telling you, keep an eye on the 02, the 25, and the 33. They worked together in the 3rd lane once, and now that they've kind of swapped up the pecking order a little bit, we'll see how things pan out here. Does Logan York decide to go up high? And if he does, the big question will be, does the 25 and the 33, Kevin Freese and Dustin Logston, do they go with him or do they hang him out and stick in the middle? It'll be just 6 laps to go now, 175 miles, and we are almost all the way complete. And, ooh, man, hold on to it. A couple cars with some contact there as they worked into the tri-oval. I believe that was Mark Mann, who may have bumped doors with the 071 of Eric Laurie. And they were able to straighten it out, but we still got to get to the white flag before this race is official. And with the way things are going right now, I don't know if we're going to make it all the way there. I mean, they are going at it. This is where it goes from, light pushes and taps to full-on shoving. And remember, we saw Logan York earlier. He got a little bit adventurous, if you will, with the push. He pushed Anthony English in the turn in 3 and 4 on the inside line. Now, it got English really out of shape, but you know what else it did? It got the 44 clear to the lead by a long shot. So maybe if we get to the last lap, maybe we see somebody try a similar move. I'm not sure. But what I am sure of is that if you are not inside the top 5 right now, but you're in this lead pack, it is time to start thinking about 3 wide because we've only got 5 laps to go. And that is going to go by quick here at Daytona. Towards the back of this group, there's Nathan Warren, as it is about a 12-car lead pack, at least for lead lap cars. And then you've got a couple more in terms of lap down cars that are fighting, hoping to potentially get the lucky dog if we get a late caution here. Adam Kilday still leads up top. Jimmy Reynolds on the bottom. The 071 of Eric Laurie doing all the pushing up top. Now they get a little bit better organized up top. Watch out. We could see a big run off of turn 4 here from Adam Kilday, but Eric Laurie gets a little bit loose. Now the 4 of Rick Seabrantz, he washed up, as did a few others. These cars are all over the place. Watch it from the blimp cam here as we'll watch. Here we go. Actually, we're going to see that third lane. We'll hold that thought as Logan York's going to jump up to cover. He saw the 33. Jeff Crosby Jr. jump up. And watch for Freeze in the 25. If he's able to slot clear the 02, I think he'll think about jumping up. He can't do it just yet. Now Logan York's got some more momentum. Kilday's going to move to the top groove. Eric Laurie follows. Here comes Kevin Freeze. They are 3 by 3 out back of the lead pack. Up front, though, they remain 2 by 2. And in fact, now it's the inside that surges back out in front. Mark Mann has a chance to move up here. We'll see if the 04 is going to take it or if he's content to stick with the 17 for the rest of the way. 3 laps to go, just over. In fact, now it's going to be just under 7.5 miles remaining here at Daytona International Speedway tonight. Who is going to get themselves locked into the next round of the playoffs right now? The front 2 are non-playoff drivers. The closest playoff driver to the front is Adam Kilday on the outside, but he is fading right now. He's got the help, but it's just not working out for him. And for Mark Mann, still no move up, but you wonder if on the last lap, if he's still clear, does that maybe change his game plan a little bit? And what about for Rick Seabrantz? If he can somehow find a way to get clear, does he jump up as well? That's what we're waiting to find out, but as they stay 2 by 2, that third lane died out, all shuffled back into the outside groove, and so now that's going to kind of rebuild this momentum on the outside for a lap or so, and they're all going to get grouped back up and get ready for one more charge on that third lane. You see Kevin Freeze in the 25. He is the 4th car back on that outside line. He's looking for a run, and he's going to look to the top of the track, but he's going to need a little bit of help. He's got the 388 of Douglas Johnson behind him, and he's got the 33 of Jeff Crosby Jr. there as well. A couple cars took a peek to the middle. Nothing doing there either. If they can make it to the white flag, this race will be official. Kilday with a big move. He got clear down the backstretch, jumped down low, and now he takes the lead through 3 and 4. But here comes the 071. Eric Laurie trying to get the lead. He's getting pushed by Logan York. And how about this? We're going to make it official. White flag in the air. 1 lap to go at Daytona. Eric Laurie and Adam Kilday, 2 of the playoff drivers, looking to see if they can get themselves locked in. Kilday nowhere to go up top, 3rd lane. It's Jeff Crosby Jr. in the 33. He needs some help, doesn't have it yet, but on the bottom, the 071 starts to wash up. Drag race off of turn 2. And as they remain side by side down the super stretch for the final time here tonight, Nathan Fuller has now jumped up to the top. They're going to get a little bit more help. 3rd lane is coming, but do they have enough time as they work off into 3? Final time off of turn 4. They are still side by side up front. Final pushes off of turn 4 down the short chute. Here we come all the way back to the checkered. Who gets here first? Logan York is going to take it on the outside line. He wins it tonight at Daytona. What a finish. They kept it clean. Logan York gets the win. Eric Laurie brings home second. And it's Kevin Freese who rounds out the podium. And boy, take a breather after that one. Oh my goodness. What a finish. I'll tell you what, if that was Talladega, or we had about another 100 feet, that outside maybe steals it. Or excuse me, kind of flipped that option. I meant to say we may see a different lane steal that here, but watch this back. The checkered flag again. Yeah, I meant to say the inside maybe steals it here because they were starting to get a run back, but just ran out of time. Watch it here from TV2 again. And here we go. Looks like the outside was able to stay a little bit more organized. Kilday got just a little bit tight coming off of 4. And as he washed high, Kevin Freese was able to stay behind Logan York. And just that little bit of extra pushing was all Logan York needed. Is right here you see the 071 starts to make a little bit of a comeback as Kilday starts pushing through the tri-oval, but just runs out of time right there at the line. Logan York gets it. It looks like right about half a car length. Man, what a finish that one was. Yeah, it's going to go down as just about half a car length. The official gap is 2/100ths of a second. As Logan York now brings it in front of the virtual grandstands here in the tribal, and he will burn it down. As again, he is your race winner here tonight. As he does so, let's take a look at your finishing results. Logan York, again, is your race winner in the O2 here tonight. It's going to be Eric Laurie who brings home second. Kevin Freese rounds out the podium. Adam Kilday finishes in 4th. And it's Douglas Johnson rounding out your top 5. Jimmy Reynolds brings home a 6th place finish. It's going to be Jeffrey Crosby Jr. in 7th. Then you've got Nathan Warren back in 8th with Mark Mann in 9th. And Dustin Logston rounding out your top 10. Rick Seaburns finishes in 11th. Dave Hunt in 12th. Vicente Guerrero 13th. Andy Brigante in 14th. Stephen Lane 15th. Anthony English back in 16th. It's going to be Matt Wagner finishing in the 17th spot with Jeff Crosby Sr. back in 18th. And rounding out your top 20 here tonight is Len McNeese and Shane Ward. Derek Donoff finishes 21st. Rick Sanchez 22nd. Zach Fritsch in 23rd. Sean Stevens 24th. Tucker McClendon in 25th with Sean Dion in 26th. And John Guerra rounds out the 27th and final position here tonight. All right, we're going to go get your top 3 in here for interviews. Stick with us. We'll be right back at Daytona. All right, and we're going to go ahead and kick things off here tonight with your race winner. Hey, Logan, this is Austin up in the booth. You got a copy?
Yeah, I got you, Austin. What's up?
Well, man, you get the job done here tonight in thrilling fashion. You win it by 2/100ths of a second. And, man, for a track that is so bumpy and so hard to keep the car under you, you look pretty stable. How were you able to hold on there right at the end?
Yeah, well, Austin, looks can be deceiving. I was not stable at all. It's kind of, the bumps kind of guide you in the right direction. So if the more you try to adjust the wheel to the bumps and try to like correct it, the more all over the place you'll be. So I figured it'd be better just to hold the wheel in one spot and let the bumps do their thing. It's kind of usually how tracks like this work, and concrete tracks too. Yeah, I knew these cars got that update where you can push easier. And I knew in the corners, if I could push on the right side on somebody, I could push him no matter where in the corner we were. And fortunately, that outside lane worked just well enough for me to get to the lead pusher spot. And then I think I kind of spun somebody down. Oh, not spun him, but I think I kind of forced him down to the bottom. I didn't mean to do that, but yeah, it worked out for me in the end.
That it did. Well, hey, I know that you're not one of the playoff drivers, but you look like you were just as competitive as the rest of them were here tonight. And, you know, when the playoffs start, again, knowing that you're not necessarily a playoff driver, does the mindset change at all? Or do you stick with you just come out each race and try to go for the win?
No, man, as I said in the past, I don't change my mindset ever. Whether I'm last in points or the points leader, I always try to win no matter what.
Well, that strategy worked out pretty well here tonight as, again, you grabbed the win here at Legacy Daytona. Well, hey, before we let you head out to go celebrate, is there anyone you want to thank or shout out?
Yeah, I want to thank the OP guys for putting the race on. I want to thank you guys for broadcasting. It's nice to see some faces in the booth that I recognize. This is my first race on Wednesday, so to share this win with PGR eSports being on the broadcaster, it really means a lot to me. I want to thank everyone that raced pretty clean. I think we only had like 1 or 2 cautions, and that's it.
And thank you for talking to us, Logan. Congrats. You are a winner here at Daytona, and we will talk to you hopefully next week.
Of course, thank you.
All right, now that's going to bring us to your second place finisher here tonight, and the highest finishing playoff driver in the field. That's Eric Laurie. Eric, this is Austin in the booth. You got a copy?
Sure do.
Well, you bring home a second place finish here tonight, and you are the highest finishing playoff driver in the field. Man, first off, what was going through your head there as you worked off at turn 4? Did you think you were going to beat the 0-2 back to the checkered?
Oh, not really. Not once I seen Kevin behind him, because Kevin's one hell of a pusher. So I knew it was going to be a race, but I didn't think I had a chance.
Well, you certainly had a great chance there and only lost it by 0.02 of a second at the checkered flag. But, you didn't necessarily have yourself in a great point scenario coming into this race here tonight, but you performed. You bring home a second place finish. And so where do you go from here next week? Do you still try to go for the win, or does the mindset maybe change a little bit now to just trying to keep the car clean and get a decent finish?
The last few races here, you definitely got to go for the win. Why not? Just put it all out and see what you get.
Yeah, that's all you can do. That's what you did here tonight. And again, man, you came so close, but a great finish nonetheless. So before we let you head out here, is there anyone you want to thank or shout out?
Yeah, I want to put a shout out to Gabe. We miss him. Can't wait for him to return back racing. But thanks a lot, Gabe, for everything. Kevin, they all know who they are. ButtKicker team. Thanks for you for coming on doing Wednesday nights. Really appreciate it.
And thank you for talking to us, Eric. Again, congrats on that second place finish, and we will see you next week.
All right.
All right, and now that is going to bring us to your third place finisher here tonight. The man rounding out the podium, it's Kevin Fries. Kevin, this is Austin in the booth. You got a copy?
Yeah, Austin, how are you doing tonight, man?
Well, I'm good, and looks like you were pretty good there as well. Well, we just heard Eric Laurie say that when he saw you as the lead pusher up top, he kind of knew he wasn't going to be able to get the win. And, man, you were able to keep Logan York out in front when it mattered most. Tell us a little bit about how you were able to set him up for the winning push at a track that was as bumpy as this.
I was just watching the way he was running most of the night, and then seeing how his car reacted just to light pushing in turn 1 and on the exit at 2, and I saw that his car stayed pretty stable, so I felt pretty confident that I could just stay wide open through the 3 and 4 and through the tri-oval on the short shoot to get him the win, and he did a great job there holding in a good spot that I could stay attached to him. So it was a pretty good finish for him, and him getting his first win over here. It's good to see on Wednesday night. And it's awesome having you over here for the broadcast now.
I'll certainly appreciate it. Now, the next thing I want to ask you about here, Kevin, before we let you go is we saw the Gen 4 at Bumpy Daytona here tonight, and kind of the opposite thing next week. We see the Xfinity cars at, new Daytona, and with the new package that we see over there, what's the adjustments that as a driver you kind of have to make going from this week to next week, knowing that you have a car that pushes completely different on a surface that feels completely different?
Yeah, I personally, it's not all a popular opinion, but I love the new drafting package for the Xfinity car, because you just have to stay so disciplined. So it's not just line up and push the life out of somebody and hope that they can hold it. And so I really am having fun with that. So hopefully we can put on a good show just like tonight. I mean, 2 cautions with this car, Bumpy Daytona. You will take that every week you can, and hope you can repeat it next week.
Absolutely. Well, hey, Kevin, before we let you head out tonight to go celebrate the podium finish, is there anyone you want to thank or shout out?
Yeah, thank you to you and PGR eSports for coming on board doing the broadcast for this league. It's a great addition for this playoff stretch that we have right now. Thank you to the drivers who ran a really good, tight, competitive race. And yeah, thank you to all the OP admin for doing all the work they do for tonight, Monday night. It's a lot of work around here, as well as for Saturday. So I appreciate all they do.
And thank you for talking to us, Kevin. Congrats again on the third place finish, and we will see you next week.
All right. Have a good night.
You as well. All right. Well, that is going to wrap up our coverage here tonight from the World Center of Racing, Daytona International Speedway. We will be back to the same place, but not quite same track layout next week. It'll be new Daytona in the Xfinity cars. Looking forward to that. As for tonight, great win for Logan York and a great comeback after last week for Eric Laurie. He's the highest finishing playoff driver and the only playoff driver to finish in the podium. As for that, we'll have to see how things play out next week. As for if the 071 can advance to the next round, a lot of drivers are going to be in a tough spot next week. Some drivers are feeling safer than ever. But Logan York is feeling good again after getting his first win on OP Wednesday here tonight. As always, thank you all so much for tuning in. I hope you enjoyed. That's it for me, Austin Green, here on PGR eSports. Until next time, have a good night.